Hello and welcome once again to Learn Penang Hokkien. My name is Timothy and you're watching a series of videos created specially to help you learn Penang Hokkien, which is the dialect of the Hokkien language as used in Penang and the northern part of West Malaysia. We are now in the 13th lesson. Yes, we have covered a lot, and also there's so much that you can learn. And the great thing about this series of videos is that it is up on YouTube, so anybody at all can learn Penang Hokkien anywhere they may be. If you know of anybody who is keen to learn Penang Hokkien, please share this series of videos with them so that they too can learn Penang Hokkien at their own pace. Today's lesson is about question words. But before we start today's lesson, let's do a very quick recap of all the lessons that we have covered. I have written everything down in my book so that I don't forget them. So the first lesson was on introduction and intonation. The first lesson we learned intonation. Then in the second lesson we learned pronouns. In the third lesson we learned numbers. In the fourth lesson we learned tone Sunday. In the fifth lesson we learned demonstratives. In the sixth lesson we learned classifiers. In the seventh lesson we learned possessive particle. In the 8th lesson, we learn money. In the 9th lesson, we learn adpositions. In the 10th lesson, we learn time. In the 11th lesson, we learn measurements. And in the last lesson, which is lesson number 12, we learn conjunctions. Today's lesson is on question words. So, in this lesson on question words, we are going to learn 8 new words. And we'll be learning that coming right after this. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. We are now in lesson number 13, which is the lesson on question words. Over here, I have written down 8 different words for us to learn today, and we are going to go through them one by one, but I will run through them in English first. The first word is what. The second word is who and whom. So who and whom is put together as one. The third one is whose. The fourth one is where. The fifth one is which. The sixth one is when. The seventh word is why. And the last word number 8 is how. So what, who and whom, whose, where, which, when, why, and how. And without further ado, let's go straight on to the first word, which is what. And what we have learned before, what in Penang Hokkien is hamid. Hamid is what. And you can use it such as Chile si hamid. Chile si hamid means what is this. Observe their sentence structure in Penang Hokkien compared to English. In English we say what is this? But in Penang Hokkien, it is this is what. Chile si hamid. Because whether it's a question or a statement, the sentence structure remains the same. In English, you will ask, what is this? And the answer could be, this is a book. In Penang Hokkien, both the question and the answer follow the same sentence structure and the same sequence. Therefore, what is this is Chile si hamid. And the answer, this is a book. Chile si chipun chat. Pun is the classifier for book. So, a book is chipun chat. What is this? Chile si hamid. This is a book. Chile si chipun chat. What is this? This is a table. Chile si hamid. Chile si chile to ting. So a table, we can use the general classifier le. So chile to ting. What is that? Hele si hamid. That is a box. Hele si chile a. Hele si chile a. So a is boss. Hele si chile a. So that is how we use what, which in Penang Hokkien is hame. Now, the second one is who. Who we have learned before also. Who in Penang Hokkien is chui chui. And it's the same if it's whom. Whom is also chui chui. There is no difference. Chui chui means who or whom. For example, who is this? Chile si chui chui. Once again, you will see that in English, the question word is at the front of the sentence, whereas in Penang Hokkien, the question word is behind. So, who is this? Is Chile si chui chui. And then you can say, this is my father. Chile si wa e papa. Chile si wa e papa. This is my father. Who is that? Hele si chui chui. That is my teacher. Hele si wa e sin sen. Hele si wa e sin sen. Who is that? Hele si chui chui. That is his wife. Hele si I e bo. Hele si I e bo. It's the same with whom. Whom do you call? Lu kiêu chui chui. Whom do you call? Lu kiêu chui chui. I called my father. Wa kiêu wa e papa. Wa kiêu wa e papa. I called my father. So whether it is who or whom, it is the same, which is chui chui. Now the next one is whose. Whose in Penang Hokkien is chui chui e. Chui chui e can be as a pronoun and it can also be as an adjective. If it's a pronoun, for example, this book is whose. Chile che si chui chui e. Chile che, this book. Si is chui chui e whose. So literally it means this book is whose. This book is whose. Chile's hat say chui chui e. Alternatively, you can say this book is whose as Chile si chui chui e chat. Chile si chui chui e chat. So both ways can. You can say Chile chat si chui chui e. In that case, it is considered as a pronoun. Chui chui e is a pronoun. On the other hand, you can also say Chile si chui chui e chat. Chui chui e chat. Notice that there is a hyphen because you no longer say a, you are saying a. And this we learned in the lesson on possessive particle. So you add the possessive particle to change who into whose. So when you want to say whose, it is chui chui a and chui chui a. Chui chui a, you have to continue with the something. Whose something. Whose teacher is that? Hele si chui chui lang e sing sang. Here you will see that not only chui chui a, but you put the word lang. So when you're asking about a person, it is often that you don't only add chui chui a, but you say chui chui lang e. So you put the word people, which is lang, into the question. Hele si chui chui lang e sing sang. Hele si chui chui lang e sing sang. Whose teacher is that? That is my teacher. Hele si wa e sing sang. Hele si wa e sing sang. Notice wa replaces chui chui. So the question has been changed into a statement. Instead of saying hele si chui chui lang e sing sang, the answer is hele si wa e sing sang. That is Julia's teacher. Hele si Julia e sing sang. Hele si chui chui lang e sing sang. Hele si Julia e sing sang. Who is that? Hele si chui chui. That is a doctor. Hele si lo kun. Whose doctor is that? Hele si chui chui lang e lo kun. Hele si wa e ama e lo kun. Ama is grandmother. So, hele si wa e ama e lokun. That is my grandmother's doctor. Hele si wa e ama e lokun. Ama means granny. So if you want to use the common noun for grandmother, you can just say ma. Hele si wa e ma e lokun. Hele si wa e ma e lokun. That is my grandmother's doctor. Hele si wa e ama e lokun. That is my granny's doctor. So that is whose. The next word is where. Where is talo. Wa e empik ti talo. Where is my pencil? Wa e empik ti talo. Ti talo means at where. We have learned ti before in the lesson on at position. So ti talo is at where. It is necessary to add the word ti whenever you are asking about location of something. Wa e empik ti talo. Where is my pencil? Lu e empik ti chipeng. Your pencil is here. Lu e empik ti hepeng. Your pencil is there. Lu e chia ti talo. Where is your car? My car is in the garage. My car is in the garage. Wa e chia ti chia bang. Chia bang is garage. So, wa e chia ti chia bang. My car is in the garage. Where is your cat? Lue niao ti talo. My cat is on the table. My cat is on the table. Wa e niao ti to teng e teng bin. Wa e niao ti to teng e teng bin. My cat is on the table. My cat is under the table. Wa e niao ti to teng e ete. Some of these you have learned in previous lessons. When we revisit it, I hope that it becomes more and more familiar to you how we use Penang Hokkien in daily lives. Because yes, when we speak a language, it is necessary that the different components will appear every now and then. So what you have learned before in the lesson on adpositions now resurfaces in the lesson on question words. The next one is which. Which is to chile. To chile. Which is yours. Lu e si to chile. Which is yours. Lu e yours. Si to chile. So again, the sentence structure is inverted if you compare with the sentence structure in English. In English, it says, which is yours. In Penang Hokkien is yours is which. Yours is which. Lu e si to chile. Wa e si he chile. Mine is that one. Wa e si he chile. He chile is that one. Wa e si che chile. Wa e si che chile. Mine is not this one. Wa e si che chile. Wa e si he chile. Mine is not this one. Mine is that one. Which is your father? To chile si lu e papa. So which is your father? When we are saying a few people, which is your father? Hele si wa e papa. That is my father. To chile si lu e papa. Which one is your father? Or you can say to chikien si lu e papa. Now, instead of say to chile, because le is a general classifier, it is necessary to be more precise, especially when you're talking to a person. The classifier for person is kien. So instead of say to chile si lu e papa, you say to chikien si lu e papa. Which one is your father? Hele chikien si wa e papa. That one is my father. Che chikien si wa e papa. This person is not my father. Che chikien si wa e papa. He chikien si wa e papa. This one is not my father. That one is my father. To chikien si missing. Which one is the nurse? Chikien si missing. This person is the nurse. So, when you say chị Kian si missing, it means this person is the nurse. You use the classifier can in place of the noun person. We use the classifier often in place of the actual thing, the antecedent, such as the person, the thing, and so on. Which one is the teacher? Tôi chỉ khen si sinh xe. That one is the teacher. Hele si sinh xe. Hele si im si lokun, is that the doctor? Or better still, hele chỉ khen si im si lokun, is that person the doctor? And the answer, hele si khen si lokun, that person is the doctor. Or hele chỉ khen si lokun, that person is not the doctor. So that covers which. The next question word that we want to learn is when. When is DC, DC, T and C. C means time. So what time? So when is what time? So DC is when. When did he come? When did he come? Here it is EDC lại. EDC lại. He, when, come. EDC lại. You can also say DC E lại. And when you say DC E lại, the sentence structure is exactly like in English because DC is when, E is he, and come is lại. DC E lại. He came this morning. E chỉ lệ cha khi lại. E chỉ lệ cha khi lại. So chỉ lệ cha khi is this morning. E chỉ lệ cha khi lại. He came this morning. He came last night. E chăm mẹ lại. E chăm mẹ lại. Chăm mẹ is last night. This is the sequence. He, and then when, and then the action. So he, chăm mẹ last night came. He last night came is he came last night. E chăm mẹ lại. E tên lễ bài lại. Tên lễ bài is last week. Tên is past, and then lễ bài we have learned before is week. So E tên lễ bài lại. He came last week. Now the next one is why. Why is hamitsu. We have learned before what is hamit. Su means matter. Hamitsu literally what matter is how we say why. Why is hamitsu. Hamitsu lu kia how. Why does your child cry? Child is kia. So hamitsu lu kia how. Why does your child cry? Why kia how ingwe I vô hoa hi. My child cries because he is unhappy. Happy is hoa hi. So vô hoa hi is unhappy. Why kia how ingwe I vô hoa hi. Hamitsu lu lại hòa. Hòa we have learned before is late. Hamitsu lu lại hòa. Why did you come late? Why lại hòa ingwe bus hòa. I came late because the bus was late. So we use the word bus in Penang Hokkien also. Why lại hòa ingwe bus hòa. Why lại hòa ingwe why chia pine. Pine means break down. Why lại hòa ingwe why chia pine. I came late because my car broke down. Hamitsu lại hòa. Why lại hòa ingwe why chia pine. So that is how people will speak. You can expect that when people speak Penang Hokkien, it's going to be rapid fire. It's going to be quite fast. So when I pronounce things to you, it might be a bit slower so that you can capture every single word in the sentence. But in normal conversation, you have to expect that they are going to speak very quickly. So it takes time to get familiar with how people would speak Penang Hokkien in daily context. The next one and the final one is how. How in Penang Hokkien is an chua. Lu an chua lai, how did you come? An chua. Lu an chua lai, how did you come? Wa je bus lai, I took the bus come. So it means I took the bus here. I took the bus here is wa je bus lai. Lu an chua lai, wa hua chia lai, I drove here. So to drive is hua chia. Hua on its own means drive, but we don't use hua on its own, we say hua chia. So to drive the car, wa hua chia lai. I rode the motorcycle here. Wa ta moto lai. So motorcycle is moto. We just say moto in Penang Hokkien. Motorcycle is moto. Lu an chua lai, wa ta moto lai. Wa ta ka chia lai. I rode the bicycle here. Mary an chua lai. How does Mary come? Mary ta ka chia lai. Mary rode the bicycle here. So those are some sentences, and in the next part, we are going to go through these 8 words once again, and I will give you some other examples of how to use these 8 question words. So that's coming right up after this. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. We are in lesson 13, which is the lesson on question words. In the previous part, we have just looked at 8 question words, which are what, who and whom, whose, where, which, when, why, and how. Now we are going to look at a few more examples using these 8, as well as some related words that you would use to ask questions. The 8 covers the majority of the words that you would use to ask questions. There are also some other words that you might need to use to ask questions in Penang Hokkien. So once again, the first one is what. What is hame. So such as, what do you want? Lu boi hame. What do you want? Lu boi hame. I want my book. Wa boi wa e chat. Wa boi wa e chat. Who are you looking for? Who are you looking for? Lu chui chui chui. Lu chui chui chui. So you, chui is to find or to look for. Lu chui chui chui. Whom are you looking for? The next one is, whose dog is this? Whose dog is this? Chile cao si chui chui lang e. Chile cao si chui chui lang e. Chile cao si chui lang e. And the answer, I do not know. Whose dog is this? Wa chai chile cao si chui chui lang e. I do not know whose dog is this. Wa chai chile cao si chui chui lang e. I do not know whose dog is this. Chile si chui chui lang e cao. This is whose dog? Wa chai chile si chui chui lang e cao. Si si lu e cao. Is it your dog? Si chile si wa e cao. No, this is not my dog. The next one is where. Where did you put my book? Where did you put my book? Lu he wai che ti ta lo. He is to put. Lu he wa e che my book ti ta lo. Lu he wa e che ti ta lo. Where did you put my book? Wa be ki liao. I have forgotten. I have forgotten where I put your book. Wa be ki liao. Wa he lu e che ti ta lo. Wa be ki liao. Wa he lu e che ti ta lo. I have forgotten where I have put your book. Wa be ki liao. Wa he lu e che ti ta lo. The next one is which. Which of these 2 cars is yours? So now we want to say which of these 2 cars is yours. The way to say it is chile no ting chia to chile si lu e. So you have to say these two cars, which is yours? 这个两顶车倒一个是你的？这个两顶车 these two cars 倒一个 which one 是你的？ Which one is yours? 这个两顶车倒一个是你的？ The next one is when. When should we leave? 咱应该几時去？ So 幾時 is when. 咱應該 we should when go. So 去 is to go. When should we go? 咱應該幾時去？應該 means should or ought to. So 應該 means should or ought to. 咱應該幾時去？ Alternatively, using a different way to ask is what time should we go? To say what time, the question word for what time is 幾點. If you say 幾點, then it means what time. If you use 幾時, it means when. So to use 幾點 comes first. 幾點咱應該去？幾點 is what time we should go. What time we should go? 幾點咱應該去？ Alternatively, 咱應該幾點去？咱應該幾點去？ So 幾點 is what time? And you can answer, we ought to go at 4:30. 咱應該4點半去。咱應該4點半去。 We ought to go at 4:30. When should we go? 咱應該幾時去？咱應該4點半去。 We ought to go at 4:30. The next one is why. Why is 什麼事？ Why didn't you come? Why didn't you come? 你什麼事沒來？你什麼事沒來？ Why didn't you come? I didn't come because I was sick. 我沒來因為我不好勢。不好勢 means not feeling well. So sick on its own can say 破病。破病 is to fall sick. 破病 is to fall sick. 我沒來因為我破病。I didn't come because I fall sick. 我沒來因為我不好勢。I didn't come because I wasn't feeling well. Wasn't feeling well, 不好勢。I'm not feeling well, 我不好勢。什麼事你沒來？我沒來因為我破病。我沒來因為我不好勢。The next one is how. How to use this thing? 這個物件安怎用？ So 物件 we have learned is thing. So 這個物件 this thing. How to use this thing? 這個物件安怎用？這個物件安怎用？ And related question words could be how, not just how, but how many. How many we have learned before also is 幾個？你愛幾個？ How many do you want? 個 is the general classifier. But if you are talking about things in lumps, it could be 粒。你買幾粒？ How many do you want? And this could be the referring to perhaps things like soap. So when you're talking about soap, the classifier for soap is 粒。你買幾粒？ In the market, you're talking to the fishmonger and he asks you how many fish do you want? The classifier for fish is 杯。你買幾杯？ How many fish do you want is 你買幾杯？我買兩杯。I want 2. 2 what? It means the antecedent here is the fish. I want 2. 我買兩杯。兩杯 what? 兩杯什麼？兩杯魚。你買兩杯，你買兩杯什麼？ You want 2 what? So the answer is 我買兩杯魚。I want 2 fish. So that concludes our lesson on the use of the question words. When we come back, we are going to do some exercise on this, and so stay tuned. I'll be back very soon. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien, lesson number 13, which is the lesson on question words. We have now reached the exercise section of this lesson. And in this exercise, I'm going to give you questions in English. I need you to say it in Penang Hokkien. You might encounter some words that are new to you in Penang Hokkien. So for those new words, I will help you along by telling you how to say them in Penang Hokkien. And so this is not only to help you in learning the questions words that we have used, but also to accumulate new words into your vocabulary. And without further ado, let's start with the sentences, or rather the questions in this exercise. The first one, translate this sentence in English into Penang Hokkien. And the sentence is, what is that? What is that? And the answer is, what is that is, hele si hami. Hele si hami. Question number 2 is, who is that person? Who is that person? Person in Penang Hokkien is lang. Person is lang. So, who is that person? And the answer, hele lang si chui chui. Hele lang si chui chui. Question number 3 is, whose school is this? School is oteng. Oteng is school. Whose school is this? And the answer, chile si chui chui lang e oteng. Chile si chui chui lang e oteng. Chile si chui chui lang e oteng. Question number 4 is, where is my bicycle? Bicycle is ka chia. Ka chia. Ka chia literally means foot car. Foot is car and then chia is car. So ka chia is foot car or bicycle. So where is my bicycle? And the answer, wa e ka chia ti talo. Wa e ka chia ti talo. Question number 5 is, which fish do you want? Which fish do you want? Fish is hu, and the classifier for hu is boi. Boi is the classifier for fish. So, which fish do you want? And the answer is, lu boi to chi boi hu. Lu boi to chi boi hu. So that's how you construct the sentence for which fish do you want? Lu boi to chi boi hu. Question number 6 is, when is school holidays? When is school holidays? School holidays in Penang Hokkien is oteng pang ke. We have just seen school is oteng. So oteng pang ke is school holidays. When is school holidays? And the answer is TC oteng pang ke. TC oteng pang ke. Question number 7 is, what time do you go to sleep? Go to sleep is kikun. What time do you go to sleep? So, what time? What time do you go to sleep? And the answer, lu kui tiam kikun. Lu kui tiam kikun. Okay, lu kui tiam kikun. Question number 8 is, why does the dog bark? Why does the dog bark? Bark is bui. Bark is bui. Why does the dog bark? And the answer, hamisu helekau bui. Hamisu helekau bui. We translate the here as hele as though it is that. Because there is no definite article, so we use hele as the. Hamisu hele kau bui. The next one is how to say this word in Penang Hokkien. How to say this word in Penang Hokkien. Say is kong. Say is kong. And word is ji. Word is ji. How to say this word in Penang Hokkien? And the answer, chile ji Penang Hokkien an chua kong. Or chile ji Penang Hokkien wa an chua kong. Chile ji Penang Hokkien an chua kong. Or chile ji Penang Hokkien wa an chua kong. And the last one is, how many children do you have? How many children do you have? And the answer is, Lu u quy lê kia. Lu u quy lê kia. So, have is u. We have seen that before. Have is u. So, the answer is, Lu u quy lê kia. And that concludes our lesson on question words in Penang Hokkien. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and if you do, please take a moment to give this video a like so that YouTube will show it to more people. And at the same time, if you are interested to learn Penang Hokkien, subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the notification bell so that I can inform you every time there's a new video. I hope that you are progressing well in speaking Penang Hokkien, and don't be afraid to try out at any moment. Also, join the Learn Penang Hokkien Facebook group so that we can ask questions related to Penang Hokkien. There are many members there who are very helpful in helping you with your questions. I hope to see you again, and until then, thanks for watching.